We are joined by Channa D, TechnoDad himself. He's the face behind the TechnoDad YouTube channel, founder of Atmos AV Consulting. He's done 849 videos on YouTube since 2016 with a 100,000 subscriber plaque to prove it. 100 plus thousand plaque. He is a gigging DJ, expert in Dolby Atmos, and we got a lot to talk about on this episode. And he's holding up his spatial audio calibration toolkit, which I'm sure we'll get into. Yep. And we're also joined by our editor at large, Chris Boylan. Hey, Chris.
Hello.
Hey,
How's it
Chris.
going, guys?
And
what does that large mean?
Back
at
to
large?
Channa.
Yeah. Well, I've been putting on a little bit of weight, but I'm working on changing that to at small in the spring.
At medium
hiking again, hopefully at medium at least. Yeah, that would be good.
I love it.
Yeah. So, Channa, talk to us about your YouTube channel, the Atmos Consulting. How did this all come to be?
So it all. I mean, I was looking for a new vehicle to carry my DJ equipment in, right? So I was on YouTube searching these vehicles, and then I see one for like my dream car pop up in the recommended videos, and it said like Audi R8 V10 Plus first North American delivery. I'm like, oh, I click on it, and it's this pimply faced 19-year-old taking delivery of my dream car. I'm like, something is wrong with the world. So he kept on saying to the camera, I couldn't have done it without you guys. So I did some research, and apparently that guy smokes weed and he plays Call of Duty and he makes $30,000 a month on YouTube. And I'm like,
wow.
Huh. Like, I can't do that, but I can do something. So
yeah,
that's how I started in YouTube, and I do a lot of tech stuff. I buy a lot of tech stuff. And I started off with cell phones. Then I realized that I didn't even have 100 subscribers, but the cell phone store in town gave me phones to borrow for a couple of weeks. I would make a video, promote a store, whatever. And then I realized the cell phone guys on YouTube would get the phones 2 weeks before me. So I'm like 5th page, 10th page down the list. I'm like, oh, this is not going to happen. So I don't want to get into too many details. I got laid off from my job so then I just went ahead all in on my wedding DJ business. This is 2016. And I quadrupled my pricing on the wedding stuff. I went to all the wedding expo stuff in town, and I started getting all these deposit checks come in. I'm like, ho.
Yeah.
I started upgrading my home theater, and every piece that I purchased, I made a YouTube video about it. And so people started asking me all these questions like, hey, why'd you pick this over that? Why'd you do this? And I was just like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this since I was 12. I know home theater backwards and forwards, and home audio. I grew up with the audiophile as a dad. And so it was just easy. I'm like dirt. And so then I kind of did a little pivot to all that kind of stuff. Figured out what was hot in video. So it was 4K, and I'm like, oh, let me just buy a 4K TV. I did a little research for myself, got the LG instead of the Samsung. It was like a $700-ish price range. People asked me a bunch of questions about why'd you go? Well, I like this and like that. And then got into 4K Blu-ray players. And then it kind of just snowballed into, where it is now, and helping people set up their Dolby Atmos home theater. There's some people still email me, hey, do you think I should buy this external amp? And I'll be like, well, on paper, it says match up with your speakers pretty nicely. So you could.
So the channel was like a natural outgrowth of your own passion for audio and video gear. And you're just like, hey, this is what I bought. And people are like, but why? But that's great. That's a very organic way to build it. And now 130,000 subscribers later, you're doing quite well for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did Audi send you anything yet or not yet?
Who?
Audi hasn't sent you any cars yet.
I am working on car content actually right now.
Okay,
because there's a big push to have Dolby Atmos in vehicles. As Brian, we were at CES, we were at NAMM.
NAMM, yep.
So I got to hear Dolby Atmos in 3 different cars at CES, and then the new Cadillac at NAMM.
So that's an excellent transition. I think that's a great transition to the first topic, which what we think is hot in AV technology in 2025,
right?
And Dolby Atmos or immersive sound in cars. So Yeah,
I'm
Brian,
curious because I heard the Cadillac,
Yep.
but I didn't hear the cars at CES.
Right.
And I thought the Cadillac Optic at NAMM was phenomenal for Dolby Atmos.
Right.
And I know Channa got to hear it, but I'm curious how does it compare to the cars you heard at CES?
So CES, so I heard the Rivian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Dolby is pretty like tight, hush hush over at CES. Like I had to drop names, like the people I know that are executives and stuff like that. Like, who do you know? I'm like, oh, I know so and so. She's head of Dolby Atmos music. They're like, oh, she's in meetings all day. I'm like, well, I want to get a demo for my YouTube channel, TechnoDad. I'm showing the badge, and then like, they're like, well, you really, I don't think we have enough time. And then I whip it out on them. Boom. Look,
Spatial audio calibration toolkit.
This is the world's first Dolby Atmos calibration disc. Here it is, TechnoDad. This is me. I made this with a buddy of mine, and it's the only one in existence. Like, and then all of a sudden she's like, okay, hold on. And then I got it. Like, I had to so that's how tight it is to get into a Dolby event at CES. So finally got in.
I didn't even know they were there. I didn't even know Dolby had a booth at CES.
Dude, no, it's at the Park MGM.
Oh. They had the executive suite or something. There.
No, there's because they're vehicles, bro. There's like it's like a big situation, right? Yeah. So I got to experience the Rivian. I did a binaural recording of that one song, the Tiesto Boom, and a couple other ones. So if you go to my channel,
you did that in the Tesla too, right? Didn't you do a binaural recording in the Tesla Model Y that they had spec'd out with Denon and?
So that was the other one. So the Rivian was what you get stock, right? And then the other one I heard was so it was in a Model Y. They took out all of the speakers. So Timpani, Denon, Dirac did the tuning, and there was another company that did like the transducers in the headrest, right?
Right.
That one was really cool.
Yeah, they call them actuators, but they weren't actuators like the ones that make your seat rumble. They actually were more like drivers that make high frequency sound for the spatial effects. Yeah,
it was that one was probably cooler out of the two. I think the one thing about the like Rivian is like, guess where the sweet spot is?
The middle and where you can't sit at all. Yeah, is that where it is?
The chair that nobody wants to sit in, like the middle of the back.
The middle of the back seat,
right? So
that's
a challenge. The one you were talking about, you can focus in the front seats. You can focus on either person in the front seat, and that's where the Dirac thing and those actuators in the headrest actually make sense, because there's like a little slider, a little control for like the spatial, and that totally activates it. And then when I, sent it over to Matthew, who's sitting in the passenger seat, I totally hear a shift, right? In like the center of the sound, being in the, driver's seat. So that was actually really cool.
So I thought you're talking about the Tesla Y, right? The Tesla Model Y that was just the concept vehicle that nobody can actually buy.
No.
Which one are you talking about?
Yeah, no, that was. It's not a concept vehicle. It was a concept system.
I mean, concept audio system.
Audio Foundry, Denon, and
that's what I meant.
Dirac. Yeah. So this isn't a production system you could buy. They're showing this to other auto manufacturers to say, look what we can do. Buy our system for your car.
Timpani did the speakers. Sonified did the headrest.
They did the headrest speakers. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so it wasn't for Tesla per se. They just chose a Tesla Model Y. They removed all of the stock speakers and they did something totally different. So that was cool.
It was cool, but it's just a concept right now. Like nobody can buy this stuff.
From what I hear, it's pretty expensive. So this is not anything like a consumer would buy. But that was probably the best Atmos I've heard in a vehicle.
Okay.
There was a really bad one by Pioneer. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear that one.
I have video of it. I just like it's garbage. Like, do I make this video? Like, there's just so many other things I have to do too.
Right.
So did you get to hear the Mercedes that had both Dolby Atmos and DTSX?
No.
Oh, I did. That was really impressive.
See, this is the thing. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
But a lot of like what Dolby's doing, I guess, is more B2B stuff anyway. So like they don't, I'm doing stuff for consumers of, so if I'm making content about it, it's not gonna like, I don't think it matters much to them, but I did hear.
I mean, it should, right? Because you're perpetuating the whole ecosystem and getting people excited about Dolby Atmos.
We'll see. I got a lot of phone numbers and I got a lot of emails at NAMM from a lot of executives. So I'm like this close to them giving me the Cadillac for a few days to make a proper video.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I find fascinating about the Cadillac is how they don't even mention Dolby Atmos in almost any of the marketing material. You have to like dig for it on the website. You can't find it. I looked at all the preview videos of this car. Like nobody talked about Dolby Atmos. They just talked about the range and the storage capacity and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like Dolby Atmos is so undersold, yet it's got so much potential because people hear these cars, they'll buy them.
I don't know about that. Do you really think
I
that
think
a sound system sells the car?
Well, I think it could.
If you think about it from Dolby's perspective, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, the vast majority of people, I mean, my viewers are crazy. I'm crazy. I'm surrounded. I got 16 speakers in this, or 15 speakers, and then I'm reviewing these RBHs. So there's another 2 speakers in here.
Oh, nice.
But putting all these kind of speakers in a living room is tough. I did that 9 speaker setup, 514 in the living room. Then like if you can get away with doing 11 speakers in your living room, damn, it's very intrusive to experience Atmos, whether it's movies or music.
Yeah.
So the natural progression would be headphones, right? Because like Brian's wearing some headphones right now. People are experiencing Atmos music on headphones, and that's kind of where a lot of the people are going to experience it. So what would be the other place where you can non-intrusively have speakers all around you?
Well,
that's in your car.
Perfect. Yeah, right. Absolutely.
My Audi, I have an Audi Q7, which just has the upgraded Bang & Olufsen system. That thing has 23 speakers.
Wow.
No Atmos.
It doesn't have Dolby Atmos. Yeah.
No Atmos, but has 23 speakers. So there's already enough room. For these kinds of systems.
Yeah, and the speakers are overhead and they're in the back. They're perfectly positioned to create an immersive sound field.
So that's what I really loved about the Cadillac. Okay, so they actually went ahead and I talked to them. Did you talk to the one guy?
The engineer, right?
Yeah,
the
John.
engineer.
Yeah,
John.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
He was so thrilled about. I was like, man, I like the fact that you guys put a front stage. There's 3 speakers up front.
Yeah.
Right.
It's almost like a 7.1.4 system, right? They have the heights, you can see them. Like they have the little AKG logos.
With the solid steel grills, so you can.
Yeah, that was nice. Do you have footage of that? I can send it to you because
we have a video up on YouTube, but it's not the
it.
best footage. It's so hard to film in that car to get.
Yeah, like I just had vertical footage from my phone, right? But then the side surrounds are in the B pillars, and then the surround backs are in the back corners, right? It's exactly like having the Dolby Atmos renderer where you got this head in the middle of a box.
Yeah.
Can I share something?
I could try. Yeah.
And one of the things while you're sharing that that he mentioned is that of course they were at NAMM, so they were showing these things to engineers, but they had a USB port like right on the dash where you could plug in your mix from the day.
This is what I tried to get them to do.
Yeah. Okay. And then you get to hear it played back in 7.1.4 in the car.
Right, in the car.
Might even be better than what your studio sounds like.
It just might. So like this is a Atmos mix I'm working on for a friend of mine. He does kind of like, I wouldn't say poppy. It's kind of like folky, country, poppy, kind of music. So like this is kind of what you like. You got the front stage in the dashboard. You got the B pillar, right here and here. Surround backs would be those right there, right? And then you got the 4 heights. So I like the way it's almost set up like this, which is this is the Dolby Atmos render. If nobody knows what this is, and this is where all the Atmos metadata is stored and encoded, and it's really cool that the car just kind of resembles this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, like that layout. Again, what is the one thing? Is that the sweet spot is where?
Well, yeah, it's in the middle where nobody can sit. Probably the middle of the back seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, but when they're self-driving cars, you can just hop back there and chill in the middle of the back seat while your car drives you around.
I think one thing to note about any of this technology, whether it's the audio stuff or the video stuff, is baby steps, right? Yeah. So now we've got the Cadillac, which is kind of like giving you the exact same layout, speaker layout as a home theater, right? So now it's just a matter of getting that Dirac thing that they were doing in that other car and popping it into here to where we can focus the sound anywhere in the cabin, right?
Yeah, because most of the time there's only one person in the car. So if you could optimize the 7.1.4 for the driver, like you could in that Dirac and Denon system, that's the best of both worlds. You get real rendering of the Atmos, 7.1.4 channel mix or the object mix into the sweet spot being there. So the center channel shows up in front of you instead of maybe a little bit over to the right of you.
Yeah. Right. And then if there's two people, boom, front seats.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So yeah,
so there was there was the Model Y, there was the Cadillac. I was the only one, I guess, who got to hear the Mercedes, which was cool because Mercedes has actually had Dolby Atmos for a couple of years now in their cars, and they're actually bringing it to Audible. They played an audiobook in Audible in Dolby Atmos in the car. It was spooky because it was like a horror kind of novel, and the sounds coming from all around in a spoken word book. Crazy. But what they had added was IMAX enhanced content via this new Sony player that plays in the car with the Sony Pictures catalog and DTS:X surround sound, immersive sound playback in the car.
Wow.
So I think they're the furthest along because they added Dolby Atmos and immersive sound to their cars a couple of years ago, and they're just pushing the envelope as to what else they can bring. I mean, IMAX enhanced in a car, that's crazy.
So the other question, which a lot of people have, is where do you get this content from?
Right.
So right now, those are all streaming services, right? Right, Chris?
Yes. Right.
Okay. So that's going to be...
And in the Cadillac, they said they have Tidal now, but they're going to have other announcements. So probably you got to think it's got to be Amazon Music and probably Apple Music because they're the only other two services that have Dolby Atmos content streaming.
Correct. Correct. So where are they getting the IMAX enhanced from in the Mercedes?
So that's a new Sony video app. It's a new Sony video player app that uses the Sony catalog. I wish I could remember the name. Of course, when Brian
is it the Pictures Core or something like that?
No, it's not Sony Pictures Core. That's the one on TVs. It's a brand new player. I think the Mercedes may be the first one that got it. And yes, it does require a subscription. But when you subscribe to it, you can either watch in the car or you can watch mobile. And you might think it's a little distracting to put on like a Venom movie in DTS:X surround sound while you're driving. But they have safeties in that where if you're driving, it won't play that on the main screen. It's playing the movie back on the passenger side screen. And if you look over, there's a camera that's watching your eyes and it dims the screen. Yeah, it dims the screen so you can't watch the movie while you're supposed to be driving. Now, this would be perfect, though, in a self-driving car because, kick back, watch the movie while the car drives. I know we're not there yet, but we're going to get there eventually.
I heard one of the use cases was that, and especially in these electric cars, it's something for you to watch while you're charging.
Absolutely. But the Mercedes is not an electric car.
Right.
I was confused about that. But yeah, it's perfect for a Tesla.
Maybe clear this up for me, Chris. Someone told me you shouldn't sit in a car while it's charging.
Oh, yeah.
What? Did you hear that?
Never heard that.
I heard something about radiation.
It sounds like something that the fossil fuel industry is pushing as a new narrative to try to get people to buy electric cars. Come on.
But you're only supposed to sit there for
fields.
Yeah,
dude, I've been charging my Tesla for 6.5 years.
And he's totally fine.
From New York to Seattle, and I'm totally fine. Mostly fine. I don't think that's true.
But you don't. But you don't actually sit in the car while it's charging.
Of course I do.
No, you do sitting because you do.
I drove from New York to Washington and back, and some of those charging stops were like 4 a.m, 2 a.m. I wasn't going anywhere. A lot of the places aren't even open at that time of night.
Yeah.
Where else are you gonna go?
I thought I was driving to Vegas in a Lucid, and then
nice. You like it?
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I made a video about it. I'm actually I made friends with the manager here in Pasadena, so I also randomly found one of them at CES, so I got to sit in the new Lucid SUV,
which also has Dolby Atmos, right?
Yes, they didn't have it active. They didn't have an active subscription in there, so I couldn't hear it. But that's part of the content I'm trying to get going on with the Pasadena store. They want to promote the store. They want more people in there. I'm like, okay, cool. Sure. Well, as long as you have Dolby Atmos in there, I can go into the dealership and make a video. I'm like, hey, let's check out the Atmos.
You know what you should do? Offer to do a DJ like party for them where you play your music back in Dolby Atmos, and then they get in the car. Yeah, and get in the car, and they can hear your mix in the car. And Dolby Atmos.
We've talked about all kinds of stuff already. So there's a lot of cool things in the works, and I love home theater and stuff like that. But what I don't love is making a video and trying to make an inanimate object look cool. I mean, it's just a black box. Sometimes it's a silver box.
You can scroll it across the screen. And it looks,
oh my gosh! A car is much easier. People are like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that looks cool." Yeah.
So, I mean, the interesting thing about Dolby Atmos, though, is the mix really matters, and you can have a bad Dolby Atmos mix in a good speaker layout of a system, and it won't sound that great. And we got a little taste of that because Channa brought his own mix to the PMC demo 9.1.4 at NAMM. He was able to like pop that in somehow, and he was moving sounds like he was going crazy with the sounds. Just
in a good
front,
way.
back, back, side, like you just heard it.
It was musical. And the funny part was like it took a while for us. We waited outside that room like half an hour. Brian went and did something else. He came back. And then once we got into the room and I gave the dude the hard drive and all this, it still took another half an hour in there. But that was good because then you got to hear all these other mixes on that system. And then mine come in. And after that, Brian, you were just like, dude, that was so good. That was so much better than
so that's what Dolby Atmos sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of underutilized some of the steering and some of the theatrics of what Dolby Atmos is capable of. In some cases, but I think Channa has done a great job on the mix that we got to hear.
And how do you find, Channa, that your mixes sound on headphones? Have you found any good platforms, good headphones that really kind of reproduce the immersive effect of a 714 mix?
I mean, I'm using these Odyssey ones.
Oh yeah, they have head tracking too, right?
These ones don't. These aren't the new ones. These are the Manny Marquine. These are super expensive. They're like $1,700.
Yeah. No, not compared to what we review. That's like middle.
Oh yeah, that's middle. Yeah. Expensive for me. Like,
well, no, it goes with the MM500s. MM500s.
Yes, MM500. The Manny Marquine ones. I met him too last year. So I was like, look, man, I made a video about your headphones. He's like, oh my god, that's so cool. Anyway, like the headphone thing. So here's what I noticed about Atmos mixing as far as music. In the larger scheme of things, they assume everybody's going to listen to it on headphones, so they make it sound good on headphones.
Oh boy,
I know. And like for me, I'm like, well, they're just alienating my viewers and me.
Yeah.
I want to hear some cool shit. Can I hear some cool shit? Like that's really it. So
I've got the speakers. I want it to sound, to take over the room. Yeah.
So like my mixes, I make specifically to be played on a speaker array. So
nice
with like the one you heard, Brian, that's like the newest one I've done.
Okay.
Right, except for this one that I just popped up here that you weren't able to hear. That's like the newest one I've done. I haven't released it. And when I release it to my YouTube viewers, essentially I make a video where there's a download link of the MP4. They can download it, put on a thumb drive, put in their Blu-ray player or their media player, whatever, and play it in their home theater. And on screen, you get that viewer with the little tennis balls, so you can see where the sounds are supposed to be. And you can kind of like double check, like, okay,
make sure you plug the speakers in the right place, right? And they're in phase.
Right. That's what this is for.
Yes.
Backwards. Spatial audio toolkit, right? So that. So tell people what they're getting. Oh, sorry, Chris.
Okay. Oh no, go ahead with that because I thought this would be a really good transition, but I'll hold it for 1 sec.
Okay, I was just gonna figure out like what people are getting with the spatial audio toolkit that you offer.
This is you get 160 Dolby Atmos tracks on here, and everything from calling out just to like, is your speaker in the right? You wouldn't believe
front left.
My brother was so amazed because we went around CES and I brought this on a thumb drive because there's a digital and a physical version. If you get the physical, it's $99 for either version, but the physical has a nice like menu. It's easier to navigate. Whether it's the go to spatialcd.com to get yours. Let's do a 10% off. Do eCoustics 10.
Oh wow.
Will be the coupon code. I'll make it after the show. And
eCoustics 10.
eCoustics 10.
What is it called? What's the URL again?
Spatialcd.com.
Spatialcd.com.
Yeah, we call it a CD because those are my initials.
Oh, nice.
So it all kind of goes together. So we
not actually a CD though; it's a Blu-ray.
It's a Blu-ray disc. Yeah, it's a full-on glass-mastered Blu-ray disc. Nice. In the insert, we'll give you access to our Discord community if you need to ask questions. It's just me and Joe. Really. So to like get through all the questions, we built a Discord community and there's always people in there that are active and you can ask her questions in there or use like different tricks. Anyway, I finally finagled some people to let me play my Atmos mix, the one you heard, Brian, at CES on their systems. And I'm like, something's wrong here. But I had my 714 call out. I'm like, let's play the call out here. So in this one booth, it's like front right or front left, and it comes from the right. Center came from the front left.
And I'm like,
God. And so the front stage was all messed up. All the other speakers were fine. And then the CEO is like, that was their bad, not mine.
That guy's fired.
Yeah. So
who was it? Do you want to say who it was?
I'm not going to say which company it was.
But they fixed it after you left. I hope.
I let them have the thumb drive because I usually bring like 5 or 6 of them with me to just hand them out or whatever.
It's a little embarrassing.
But that just goes to show you how complicated Dolby Atmos is. You got to connect 13 different speaker wires into the right terminal into your amp.
Well, there are sound bars that support it. That some of them work pretty well, but you need the right kind of room for it.
Right. But so that's the one of the things. There's multiple, but like the level matching is a huge thing. Now, of course, it's gonna send a band limited pink noise to each speaker, right? And it's the same band that like the Odyssey microphone will be listening for, right?
Sure.
Now people are always like, well, hey, my Marantz, I have a Marantz AV10 here, so I just use that as example. My Marantz sends pink noise, and we get like comments or like emails like, hey, something's wrong with your disc. I'm trying to play sound out of the middle height right, and it plays it out of the front and the rear, but not the middle speaker. But when I send the pink noise from the AVR to the middle height right, it plays it. They're like, something's wrong. I'm like, no, nothing's wrong with the disc. There's there's a setting that's wrong. And this is the huge part about using the disc as opposed to the internal is that the disc engages Dolby Atmos.
Right. It uses the decoder on the actual processor.
Which means there's a setting that's wrong.
Right.
And after like a few hours, we figured it out. Or actually, Joe figured it out. It was that the guy has 3, like I have in here, actual bookshelf speakers, like little bookshelf speakers. So in the Marantz or the Denon, if you have 3 height channels, you can't set it up as front height, rear height, and surround height. Okay. That surround height is technically an Oro 3D thing. So it won't send any sound to that speaker. Right. Wow. So you have to set it up as front height, top middle, which is an in-ceiling speaker on the diagram in the AV, and then rear height, and then it'll work.
Wow.
So you wouldn't know. So the guy's like, I've been listening to this wrong for the last 3 years, right? Because he didn't know because the pink noise from the AVR was sending it to the right speaker.
Sure. Yeah, because it can do that. It just is assigning it to that channel. It's not doing anything.
So that was one of the biggest things we learned about creating this is that people's settings are wrong. And there's so many settings, like even like the professionals at the show, they're like, oh my gosh, we messed up. Yeah. Another.
So that's an example. Like you have it connected, right? But just the setting is wrong.
Right. And that means, you know what? You need to do a part 2 with DTSX Pro, right? Right. You got to encode in DTSX Pro.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because I actually did just purchase the DTSX Creator Suite.
Okay.
The only
Okay, so does it render only in DTSX profile too? So it's lossy, or does it have the full lossless surround option?
I don't even know if it's DTSX Pro. I just know it's the DTSX Creator Suite. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
I use as a DAW, that's a digital audio workstation. That's how you create all this stuff.
Yeah.
I use Logic Pro. I don't use Pro Tools.
Okay.
Right now, I have to buy Pro Tools.
Oh.
And then learn how to use Pro Tools.
Yeah.
And then remix everything in DTSX.
I thought I turned that off. You guys keep talking.
Here.
So it's funny that you
wait, that. I may have it's my auto warranty is expiring. Okay.
Fantastic. No, they're trying to warn you not to sit in your car while you charge.
There you go. It's the Tesla charging police that are calling. If we take the battery out, if that would work.
You can't turn your phone off.
I hold the off button, it does nothing. It's an old school wireless thing.
It's like it's a clamshell flip phone. It's like the Motorola Razr.
That'll do it.
Right.
Oh my gosh. It's got 2 double A's or triple A's in there.
Triple A's, baby.
Wait, was that a remote control or is that a phone? Because
it's a phone.
I got a remote control right here.
You have a phone with batteries? What's going on, Chris?
Wow. Hey, listen, I'm an old guy. I keep my vintage gear around because sound the calls are better on those old analog phones, man.
Analog sounds better, right? It's got that warmth.
All right. So we have talked a lot about your disc, probably not enough, but I'd like to get a little bit back on track. And I think it's a good transition because you being a content creator and being a Dolby Atmos mixer and creating content for YouTube must be excited about Google Eclipsa, right? Now there's going to be there's an immersive sound format for YouTube developed by Google and Samsung and a bunch of other people. So you will be able to put out immersive multi-channel mixes for YouTube. Are you going to do it?
I want to know how. That's the only hurdle is how do I do it? How do I,
There is an FAQ, I think, already on YouTube that tells you what format to put it out in, but I don't know what tools you would use to create the mix.
So that's essentially the hurdle is what do I have to use to, if it's Pro Tools, then I still have to learn how to make, I still have to learn Pro Tools.
Yeah. Well, apparently the render is that you have to put it out in a FLAC, like PCM, a lossless FLAC format. But the metadata, like for Google Eclipsa, has to be, some sort of a plugin that would work with one of the creation tools. So, I'm looking forward to seeing,
we've actually
created TechnoDad immersive audio Google Eclipsa mix.
We've actually done 5.1 mixes that are already on a different YouTube channel. So the company that I started when we came out with this is called Spatial Group. So there's a YouTube channel called Spatial Group.
Oh, cool.
And we were experimenting with 5.1 off of YouTube, right? Which means you would need like a Roku Ultra or Apple TV and go into there, and then you would be able to experience the 5.1.
Okay.
And then Joe did something funny. He's like, what if we do this? And we did this one thing. And he's like, I bet you we can get 7.1 out of this 5.1. I'm like, oh yeah, let's try it. And then we did a 7.1 call out and did his little trick. And sure enough, sound came out of his surround backs.
Wow.
So if you know these little tricky things, you can actually get 7.1 out of YouTube right now.
Right. Well, I think the Dolby AC3 codec became public domain a few years ago. So you can absolutely encode in Dolby AC3, that would be 5.1, but AC3 or whatever the Dolby Digital Plus codec is, I'm not sure if that's out into the public domain yet. Was he matrixing in rear channels, to a 5.1 channel mix, or do you know how he did it or no?
Oh, I know exactly how he did it.
Okay.
I'm just not saying.
Yeah. Okay. Secret sauce, man. Secret sauce.
Yeah. Well, I'm even confused how you even get the 5.1 off. Do you need a HDMI connection from your computer?
That's right. No, you need to be watching YouTube on a Roku Ultra or an Apple TV. I don't think you can
very
do
specific boxes.
Yeah.
So you can't do it through a laptop. Is
all I know.
You probably could if you had an HDMI output on your MacBook.
All I know is that HDMI output on the Mac is relegated to 8 channels. So technically you should be able to do 7.1 off of there. But all I know is that I think it's only supported, YouTube 5.1 is only supported on platforms like Roku, Apple, NVIDIA Shield, those kind of
NVIDIA Shield, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So
right.
So
But
probably
going back
not
to
on
what-
a TV like a LG TV or anything.
yeah.
But
probably
kind
not.
of going back to what you said, you can really only listen to Atmos from YouTube on headphones because it's
Right now, because
literally
there is no
impossible
Atmos.
to
Yeah.
hook up
not
this
supported.
stuff and hook up a
Yeah, so
studio. Yeah.
essentially what it's called a binaural render of
Yeah.
the track. And so whenever I do make these release videos, I put the song as a binaural version with the renderer so people can hear it. And just say, like, use headphones so they can check it out. Because usually, like, if they're at home or if they're at work or something and the video gets released and like, oh, okay, I'm gonna download this now and listen to it when I get home and stuff like that. So it's kind of a cool thing, I think, to just give something cool to my viewers. No, actually, it's for me. It's for me. 100%. It's for me. I want to hear cool stuff. And if I can if I think it's cool and I'm like, whoa, this is pretty cool, I think my viewers would think it's cool too. So like, I that's kind of the way I operate when it comes to those mixes and videos. Like, I just want to make something cool. I don't really care.
Well, when I went to the demo of Eclipse at CES, what they were showing was that it's actually pretty easy to get it to work on existing gear. So they had updated the just a YouTube player on a TCL TV, Samsung TV, and an LG TV, and they were able to output Eclipse encoded content from the YouTube player on those devices on existing soundbars. It was an LG, Samsung, and TCL soundbar. But what they were doing was the decoder built into the TV was outputting in PCM. So all they were getting was 7.1. They weren't getting high channels. To get the high channels, you would need a decoder that supported the actual Eclipse, codec.
Right.
Which Samsung's already announced is coming in all of their 2025 products, TVs and their soundbars.
Wow. Because
Samsung's one of the launch partners. They helped develop the
sure.
codec.
I mean, that makes sense. It makes sense.
So if you do your Google Eclipse mix on YouTube, someone with a Samsung TV and a Samsung soundbar is going to play.
I have a Samsung TV.
There you go.
I don't have a Samsung soundbar, but whatever.
Well, you need one of the newest ones anyway that just came out.
Okay.
To do the full height channels. But a lot of people are like, oh, it's Google. They're going to announce a new format and then they're not going to really get behind it and it's going to fizzle out. But I think they went into it because they didn't want to pay Dolby all the licensing fees for their billions of viewers playing back stuff.
100%. You know what? I have a video that's going to be a banger. You know why?
Oh, yeah.
Because I have the Samsung TV, and what is it missing?
What is it missing?
Dolby Vision. But with this guy,
Dolby Vision. Okay.
with that
what do you
thing,
got there?
with that thing,
Secret.
I can add Dolby Vision to the Samsung TV.
Come on. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be a banger video.
All right.
Everybody's going to watch it. I already asked people in the comments. I'm like, there's a way to add Dolby Vision. Do you guys want to know? And they're like, yes, make that video. So the thing just arrived yesterday. So we're going to mess around with it.
And you made this thing or you?
No.
Ordered this thing.
Come on.
You ordered this thing.
I ordered this thing. It arrived yesterday.
Okay.
And,
So it converts the Dolby Vision into HDR10 Plus.
Well, because what did you say about licensing? The TV can handle it. They're just not paying for the licensing.
Yeah,
right?
but that box must convert a Dolby Vision encoded, piece of content
either that or
into HDR10 Plus.
It just tells the source that the TV is Dolby Vision compatible. That's essentially all it does.
Well, you know what? Well, there's a problem with that though, because at the TV Showdown last year, the Samsung were the only TVs there that didn't support Dolby Vision. And when they were going through one of these AV switchers, AV Pro, so it's high quality pro level switcher, the HDMI handshake between the player and the switch was saying, I can support Dolby Vision, right? So it said, give me your Dolby Vision content. And when that content went to the Samsung TV, it looked like ass, not in a good way. It looked, the colors were wrong because Sony doesn't have the decoder in there for Dolby Vision. And that's not something that would ever happen in the wild because the Samsung TV would always say, of course I can't do Dolby Vision. And it would send the HDR10 Plus or the HDR10 version to the TV. But that was an artifact that it took like 45 minutes for us to figure out how to get rid of. By just the turn on order, like turning on this TV and then the switch and then the other TV. So I'd be surprised if this thing can actually get the TV to decode Dolby Vision, I think it's probably just going to convert it to HDR10 Plus and have the exact same effect.
We'll see what happens.
That's my guess.
We'll see what happens. Dude, I don't know. This is what I love about YouTube, man. I'm just experimenting with stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to the video
because they were able to do it, add Dolby Vision to a projector. So
interesting.
They can do that. Maybe they can do it for the TV. That's let's try it out. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
All right. Was this time for us to move on to video since we're talking about video stuff now? That would make sense.
Sure. Talk about some
Brian, why don't we start with you? What was the coolest thing you saw at CES that's a TV coming in 2025 that kind of blew you away or you thought was really cool?
Well, what I like other than the huge, enormous size TVs, 115, 136.
Well, you live in California. You got big houses out there. I'm in New York City. I can't fit 100-inch TV.
But what I really want is the Samsung glare-free. To me,
the OLED.
It's going to come. You're going to get the glare-free in other versions, but I think it's going to look its best in the OLED.
Yeah.
But the glare-free improvement they made between 2024 and 2025. That's what I'm excited about because the glare on OLEDs just bothers me beyond end.
Oh yeah.
Because we have
those
Windows,
mirror-like screens, they just reflect the lamps right back into your face, and it's impossible to.
And I think Samsung's the only one offering that amongst the major TV makers.
TCL's got some glare-free stuff. Well, TCL at 2025 they had some, but they don't have any OLEDs right now. So
the Samsung. So I got the S90D, right? So there was the S95D that had the anti-glare thing. Yeah. So some people were like, you don't need it. You need it. And I was just like, you know what? I'll go with the cheaper one because I don't deal with it.
You can just turn off the lights if you need to.
Yeah, exactly. And it's here. It's here above my speakers. So it's like this room gets pretty dark. I can control the light in here, not a problem. So
didn't you used to have a huge window in front of you though? Did you black that out?
That was my old house.
Oh, that was your old house. Okay.
Yeah. So like I moved out of there to get divorced,
Right. So kind of usually happens that way. If you stick around, they complain a little bit. Yeah.
Not good. Anyway, so I had to get a new TV for this space, and but
so yours does not have the anti-glare in it.
It doesn't have it. Yeah, and I'm totally fine with it. I can right now. Like, there's two lights on here, and I can see the reflection in there.
But I don't see any windows in your room. I don't see. Are there?
There's
windows?
a window behind the TV, but I do. What do you call it? There's a drapes in front of it there, and then there's
blackout drapes.
Yeah, blackout drapes.
Yep.
Behind the TV, in front of the big window, and then just the only the door. Yeah. That's the only light coming in.
So did you see the glare free at CES? Did you see it?
I did.
Okay.
I think what Samsung had that was crazy was the RGB.
RGB TV?
No, it was like an OLED. It was like a quantum dot RGB or something. Or wait, no, it was micro LED, RGB micro LED TV.
Okay, so that's where they lied to us. That was not a micro LED TV.
It was
a mini LED TV. Yeah, it's a mini LED TV because it still had an LCD panel, but it used red, green, and blue pixels, which were micro LEDs. I'm sorry, mini LEDs. The reason they call it a micro LED and not mini LED is because they've got a lot more lighting zones than most mini LED TVs have, but it's not like a micro LED TV is really just like an OLED. It's got individual pixels, right, that light up the image. This one's not that way. It still has an LCD panel that creates the image, but the backlight source, instead of being white mini LEDs, is RGB mini LEDs, and then there's a lot of them. There's like probably 10,000 or 20,000. So I was very annoyed that they called that a micro LED. Yeah. Because it kind of flies in the face of what we understand to be a micro LED, which is, again, self-emissive. Right. The pixels light themselves, and each pixel is.
Let's just make up some words.
Just make.
Let's make up.
They could have made up a new word. Like
they could have called it between micro and mini LED plus. Mini LED plus
because
Max.
Because Hisense also had an RGB. Pro. Yeah, mini LED Pro. There you go. Mini LED frame. So because Hisense also had RGB backlights for one of their LCD TVs, the 116-inch one, but they were rightly calling it a mini LED because it is mini LED. So Samsung, Not very nice of you to mislead people like that.
Shame on you. Yeah.
There goes our sponsorship. That's right. I never had one.
The TCL QM6 or Q6M or whatever
QM6K, Q6K, QM6K,
QM6K. That thing. Did you see their demo? Their backlight demo? That was amazing.
We went to their little room, on press day. I didn't see a specific demo.
No. They didn't have it at press. No, it was out on the floor.
Oh, okay.
I put it in my video because I thought that was the most impressive demo.
And that's their entry level quantum dot model, right?
Yeah.
The QM6K is like the budget version.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And here I can pull up.
They actually offered to send me one like last month, but I said I couldn't take it at the time. Sorry, I'm still behind on my TV reviews.
Here, let's share this because you can see that what they did here. It was an interesting demo. They have at the top. They have the video. What do we do here? Full screen. There we go. And then below it, they have the pixels, the color panel removed. So this is just the backlighting panel, right?
Right.
This is the competitor mini LED on the left. Last year's QD mini LED, and then this year's. And like, if you look at this, you watch this, like, dude, it looks like the picture.
Yeah.
Right? So they have way more zones, and like, look, it's all blocky on the left.
Yeah. Sony did this exact demo last year at CEDIA and at CES. But it is obviously impressive.
Like, look at this. Look, they look like balls on the right, and if you go to the middle, kind of, the left is just nothing. Yeah,
it's
like, I don't know what the blobs.
Yep.
Right.
So that's the benefit of having more mini LED lighting zones, because you can make it more detailed in the backlight.
And they're doing that for the 55-inch is under $700, and then you get that technology. So
I mean, who knows if the tariffs go into effect, might go up a little bit, but for now, it's on sale now. You can grab one.
Oh, they were pre-ordering them, and that was the other thing. You could actually pre-order that TV at CES.
Yeah,
normally
not the 98.
You got to wait till May.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Nobody. So that was the QM6, not the QM7.
Yeah, that was the QM6K.
Yeah. 6K.
Okay.
And then there's
the 7. I think is
is
the step up. I wonder what that's going to do different.
Even more zones.
Yeah.
But
it's funny, like it's funny, like TCL kind of concentrated on the illumination. Hisense concentrated on the color. Right. And it's almost like I've always been saying, I've reviewed plenty of TVs on the channel since 2016. Like the big three, Samsung, Sony, LG, they got to watch out in that under $1,000 price range.
Right.
Hisense and TCL are really getting up there.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, baby steps, right?
Yeah.
All they got to do, all Hisense has to do is tighten up their illumination. TCL has to now tighten up their color, and then they both have to work on their motion, and then they got something that'll like, hi Sony, papa, LG, papa, Samsung, you're already out of the race. I'm just kidding, but I'm saying, like,
Samsung's still number one, no matter what we say.
Oh, I know.
They're still the top TV.
Did you hear
seller
TCL's number 2?
Yes, they yes. Who does number 2 work for? They are number 2. And well earned, because they sell
awesome power reference.
TVs.
That's great. Great. What did you eat?
Exactly.
Who does number 2 work for?
Great. Anyway, so I know, I agree that they've come out of effectively nowhere, and now they're in the top, certainly in the top 5. I mean, you got Samsung, then TCL, LG, Hisense, and who's number 5? Sony, maybe.
I mean, I would assume. I don't know. 100%.
I think Sony really kind of concentrates more on the high end, so they're not as high volume as a lot of the others.
Sure.
They make awesome TVs, but they're not a volume player anymore.
They're on the expensive side for sure.
Well, once they started, Sony Pictures, I think they're moving more into creating the content, and they want to have those. And
that's all that CES was all about. Was like showing all their studio tools and their huge sound, virtual sound stages that they create with screens. Like
they don't show off their TVs at CES anymore. I mean,
I couldn't even find any.
No, yeah, they had the car again.
Right. Which I think they're taking pre-orders for now. Actually, it's getting closer to production. Yeah. Who are they making it with? Is it Honda?
Honda.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, so I'm really curious because we got Channa here, and you review a lot of stuff, and you're very opinionated on the stuff you review. So we got to get some headlines here of some audio gear people have to check out, and some video gear. Like
they have
where
to check out?
Well, you mean from things that he saw at CES and NAMM?
Yeah, either stuff that you reviewed previously that they can buy now. And if you want to throw in stuff they should avoid, that's okay too.
Oh man, that's the bigger list.
So you can talk shit on our channel. We don't care.
I don't think spending a ton of money on certain things is actually worth it. Right. I know there's a lot of people that, swear by, they have a projector, so they have to have, like a Mad VR, or they have to have like a Lumagen. And we're talking things that are like very, very expensive to get a fraction of better performance, if that at all. Right. If you followed my channel, I'm not a huge Kaleidoscape fan. I put out a disc. So how can the files I send to them be higher quality than what's already like it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, but here's why you should revise your opinion on Kaleidoscape, because it is the best platform for evaluating TVs, because you can put together these scripts.
I agree with that.
And the quality is going to be at least as good as it is on the disc, but you can put together a script that'll just go from test pattern 1 to 2 to 3 to 4.
I love that.
And it's completely reproducible. You don't have to worry about putting it in the player and getting the menu. I mean, you do have yours on a USB drive, so you can also access it just in the file system. But yeah, it's a great platform for demo.
I love the convenience factor. I love the convenience factor.
And it's lossless, which is important for your stuff. Yeah.
Yes. I'm happy that they did come out with a budget option. It's still pretty expensive.
$39.95.
Yeah. I've had like the Revolution player. I'm looking at it now. I've had the Zapedi. So I'm already like into this thing where I've ripped everything myself. I have, in my home, I had a NAS that was like 100 terabytes. I don't have access to it right now.
Ex-wife does though.
I don't even know what she knows what to do with the damn thing. But anyway, I'm already used to that. And then having to rebuy or buy, and then I know like, oh, you put in the list and you like show them the receipt or something. I don't know. Anyway, I think it's a great tool for demoing stuff, but for the average person, or the average home theater, I would say no, that's a skip. In my opinion. I would say one of the things too, if you have an AV receiver with pre-outs, I put some external amps on that bad boy, at least for your front stage. You can get something fairly inexpensive, meaning like $600, $700. And you can guarantee like 120 to 140 watts per channel into the front stage. That's huge. Considering like amplifiers in the receivers, it's 120 watts times 11 or whatever they say on the box.
Yeah, it's never true.
It's true.
It's like they usually rate it in 1 channel driven or 2 channels driven.
Something or with like total harmonic distortion 10%, or whatever, something outrageous to get a high number.
Yeah, and make sure that you buy a receiver that has that ability, because I love the Onkyo TXNR 7100 as a budget 9-channel receiver. It's like it's down to like $750 right now, and it's great, but it has no preamp outputs.
I have the RZ30 here that I'm supposed to.
Yeah, I have that too. I haven't reviewed mine yet. It does have preamp outputs.
Does have preamp.
It does.
But what's funny is like it costs more than the RZ50, which is
I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah,
I don't know. Like I'm like in my head, I'm like, how am I going to make this video? I'd be like, it's good, but why?
Well, it's 2 years newer. Does that mean it's got better hardware, better chips, better HDMI boards? I don't know. I'm not really sure either, but I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. So
at least with the 70, that's clearly a bigger number, so it's the flagship. But the 30 is supposed to be entry compared to the 50, but the 50 selling for less than the 30.
Right.
I don't know either.
And I mean, we barely saw any new receivers last year. I think Onkyo was the only one that came out with anything.
JBL. JBL,
yeah, right. The JBL receivers, definitely.
Stage speakers, MA system.
Right. So we have JBL and Onkyo, but nothing new.
Well, honestly, with HDMI 2.2 that just got announced and the specs are being finalized, I think probably this year we're going to see some new receivers.
But again, but why?
I know.
Do we need
why? We don't need.
We don't need 16K 240 hertz.
We don't need
like
that at all.
There's no content for it. Yeah.
And HDMI or whatever the manufacturer has kind of botched HDMI 2.1 rollout, where when it came out, it worked, it didn't work, and then TVs were not compatible with it, and there were a lot of issues. So hopefully HDMI 2.2 fixes all that.
We're still only getting 40 gigabit per second bandwidth on the HDMI 2.1s that we got now instead of the full 48. So we're, why are we putting something new out when we haven't even gotten the full of this one that's out?
Well, because now you'll be able to get 96.
I just want it to work. I just want it to work when I plug it in.
I know.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
I don't care how many 40, 48, 96. Just plug
I
it
want
in.
to play some Call of Duty for like 30 minutes because that's my only time to relax and zone out. And then I got like, this is not working. Why is it not working?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, we didn't get over to you for any of your outlook on 2025. What you're excited about?
Well, I mean, LG's new OLED panel, which, is also in the Panasonic. Those were the two most impressive TVs I saw, I think, overall at CES. Limited amount of time spent with each, but the RGBG panel sounds like CBGBs where my band used to play back in the day. But no, RGBG panel, it's got two blues, RBGB, yep. And it boosts the overall brightness. It extends the color gamut. It's really kind of tightening the gap between a WRGB OLED and a QD OLED. So I think, we don't know yet what Sony's doing. Are they going to use an LG panel? Are they going to use a Samsung panel? Might know more about that in a few weeks, maybe. But it's going to be very interesting, I think, to see what other manufacturers do with that LG panel. I mean, what LG has done in their G5, it looked beautiful at CES. And the Panasonic, again, using the same panel, look gorgeous. But these are just like, 20-minute, 30-minute demos. Yeah. This wasn't anything like, detailed. But I'm optimistic about that. Apparently, AWOL's other company, AWOL, which is spelled AWALL, showed some micro LEDs that were actually pretty cheap. They had a 2.35:1 CinemaScope, 75-inch micro LED TV for $8,000. And then they had and this is real micro LED with the self-illuminating individual pixels. And then they had the larger 16:9 version was like 10K. Yeah. So that to see companies putting out micro LED TVs for that price, if they look as good as they should, that's an order of magnitude cheaper than most of the competition. I mean, the LGs and the Samsungs are all in the $80,000 to $100,000 range for the bigger ones, right? So that's progress.
I felt bad not going over to their suite at CES.
Yeah,
because they were at PepCom, and that thing was so blown out.
Oh, was it really?
I'm like, it was so like Caleb from Digital Trends. He and I were just hanging out here, and he's like, they got to change that. I'm like, oh, this is AWOL. I was supposed to go over there. He's like, I hope they're not doing this at the suite. I'm like, man, this is not making me want to like sacrifice an hour just to get out there.
Yeah, it's tough. The offsite meetings are killer at CES because it takes so long to get anywhere. Some of our friends were Amiko and her business partner were in the Venetian. They went to check out some of the audio suites and they left the parking lot. What was it? 4:30 in the afternoon, Brian?
4:30 or 5. Yeah,
they were parked inside the garage at the Venetian. 4:30 or 5, they left their spot. 8 o'clock, they got to the exit.
Yeah, I bet.
That took them literally like 3.5 hours to get through a parking garage.
Yeah, dude, I saw a show at the Sphere on Friday night, after.
Was that?
Cool. Who was it?
Was that the Delta one, or was that another show?
No, that was the Anima, the melodic techno guy.
That's
robots.
cool. Yeah.
And we got a car service to take us there, but on the way out, we walked over to the Venetian, and then just our Uber, just getting into the Uber, and was 30 minutes, and then another 30 minutes sitting in the Uber to get out of the parking garage.
Yeah, it's insane.
And we were only on level 2 of the parking.
Oh yeah,
garage.
she was on like 8.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
But I do want to bring up one of the cool experiences from CES that I got to see Channa do was his DJing. At Allegiant Stadium, opening for Little John. So that was an absolute treat. Just to be there. And why don't you tell us about your experience doing that?
I mean, it was like, I think the coolest part was just the going through security and like being like escorted. I have like a behind the scenes video.
Oh, cool.
I'm trying to like find it now. Let's see, is this it? No. Where it's like it's on my Instagram, and maybe I'll send you a link for it because I can't find it right now. But that was probably the coolest part. We're walking through this area. He's like, all right, all these rooms here. Nobody usually gets to go by here. I was like, oh, okay. Well, how much did these cost? Right. And he's like, nothing under $1 million.
To get the box for the year or
whatever. Yeah. Wow. So like, they're all corporations like Pepsi, Cola, this company, this company. Then sometimes it was just the dude's first and last name. I'm like, damn. Damn.
Was the dude's first and last name Steve Wynn?
No.
Okay.
Wasn't. But Tom Brady's new box was there, so we saw the outside of that, and it just says Brady on it. Nice. So that was cool. And then you
got to play in the stadium. You got to DJ.
Well, I mean, it wasn't the stadium. It was like the
suite level.
That's where they have the torch. You know what the torch is, right? So it was she said there was about 800 people ish there. So
you don't have to specify. You just say, dude, I played Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it was I got some video too. See if I can pull that into this.
It was pretty cool. I know I actually have some of it ready to go. So I was like you can share that. I actually had a new remix ready to go. So I played it. I dropped my new remix, and you can see the stage there. They had all these LED screens. I had no idea it was going to be like this. I was like, damn, I wish I knew so I could had them put my at least my Instagram handle on there. Right.
So this, our listeners and watchers could see this on your Instagram feed.
This is on my Instagram. I'm at the real TechnoDad on Instagram.
The real TechnoDad.
Yeah, there's so many fakers out there. We talked about before.
All right. Well, you know what? We are running way over. So I don't know, Brian, where do you want to?
Yeah, I want to get Channa on maybe one last outlook for 2025 before we wrap this up. What are you most excited about this year?
Seeing what kind of new speakers are going to come through.
Okay.
I'm always looking. I like speakers. Dude, I got so many speakers in here, and I'm reviewing some more. I got these RBHs are pretty awesome for $1,300 a pair. I was pretty surprised. They didn't have a whole lot of bass, so you know what I did? Don't tell the audiophiles. I went up and turned the bass on the amp up a couple of notches, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I found the magic sweet spot. Yeah.
Are these wireless or are they're wired regular?
No, these are their wired ones. The 85i in white. Woo, they look sexy. White speakers. I love white speakers. Once these are done, Per Listen's coming through here with some speakers and subs. So I'm excited to see what I get to review.
Yeah, for audio gear, for speakers.
Yeah, right. Because I at the end of the day, man, Brian, remember when we went to that I brought that singer girl with me. I was like, hey, we're gonna check out these speakers. She's like, ooh, I love speakers. I'm like, me too. It's just one of those things. Like, okay, let's listen to something. So I'm excited for more speakers, new stuff. Maybe get into some old stuff. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
More
Brian, do you have any final words for what you were looking forward to in 2025?
Well, I'd love to have that Cadillac Optic for a little bit of time because that thing kind of stuck in my head.
You gonna trade in your Tesla for a Cadillac? Is that what's going to happen? Yeah, I heard it here first.
Dude, this is interesting because I had not Cadillac was not on my radar for a car.
Yeah,
till I heard
it's an old man car, right? It's an
Me
old
neither. It was
car.
pretty impressive. Even the inside, the interior, all these different textures too, right? Like,
yeah, just the fact that I could be flipped just with a demo. Because I guess I'm not on the Cadillac marketing and I don't watch the right YouTube videos to get the intro stuff. So I didn't even know about this car.
Yeah, it's too bad about the charging network. That's something that they probably don't, they're not quite up to snuff there yet. But
isn't it just a standard one?
Well, I mean, I think the Cadillacs this year will have the NACS, the Tesla charging port, which will give them access to some of the Tesla chargers, but not all. But that's still where I think Tesla beats. That's why competition is how big their charging network is.
That's why I like the new Lucid SUV. Yeah, because they give you both.
So you have CCS and NACS. Oh, so you can charge wherever the hell you want.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Charging solved. Any last things, Channa, coming up on your channel you want to talk about? Give people other than that. You have the Dolby Vision thing. Anything else coming?
I got like an hour long of that set from the Allegiant. So I'm editing that, and so that'll be up. I've got new Dolby Atmos mixes ready to go for people, and I'm actually making some that are going to be published onto Apple Music and all that stuff. So
nice.
That's all very exciting. I am working on my own music project that's made for Atmos, and it's going to take advantage of every speaker, and it's going to make you guys shit your pants once you hear it. It's like this good. You're gonna be like, holy crap, dude, you're crazy. Once you start hearing, I got one of the songs almost done, and I'm working on actually have a session at 2:30.
Okay.
So, with a friend.
Which is in like 6 minutes. So I guess
exactly. Yeah. So a lot of exciting stuff. And again, I want to get into some more car content. Reviewing the Dolby Atmos, or just doing a binaural recording of me driving. So, because what does it sound like when you're listening to music in Atmos while you're driving? Nobody knows. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Except the people that own the car. Right. And then, I could take a binaural recording of my song in the driver's seat, then in that one weird passenger seat that's the in the
sweet
back,
spot.
in the sweet spot, right? and then compare the two and see what needs to be changed, needs to be improved to help get this format
right. Spatial audio, it's still not perfected. It's still coming.
It's the Wild West, bro. It's the Wild West. You talk to the mixers at NAMM, you will see that it is the Wild West. Like half of them don't know what they're doing. The ones that do know what they're doing, they're like, dude, nobody knows what they're doing. it's just so funny. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for what 2025 has to bring.
Well, we're grateful to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
Channa D, TechnoDad. We hope you go check out his channel on YouTube, of course. YouTube at TechnoDad. And so I want to thank Channa. I want to thank Chris. As always, subscribe wherever you are.
This is the new one. This is the new one.
Oh, that's hard. I can't do that.
Yeah. And then there's this one. There's this heart as well.
Oh, it's very small.
Oh,
this is a heart. That's a heart.
Thanks.
And there's this one. Yeah.
We'll see.
And then the one you did.
Yeah.
And we'll see everyone next time. So thanks a lot.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.